already knows that they are in the webinar on the UK business and innovation opportunities around early intervention products and therapeutics for healthy aging. And this session is recorded, and you'll receive a link to recording after this webinar. Please remain to stay muted unless you ask a question. There's an opportunity to ask questions after each session, or alternatively, you can type your questions into the chat at any time. And we'll try to pick up the questions during the webinar or then later. So my name is Maria Aaltonen, and I'm one of the organizers on behalf of the Department for Business and Trade, DBT as we call it. And we also have some fantastic partners involved with this webinar. Invest in Northeast, Midas from Manchester, Scottish Development International, together with Scottish Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre, as well as Norway Health Tech. Many of you know us and DBT and what we do, but shortly, we support companies to establish in the UK, carry out innovation activities in the market, or expand further companies' existing operations in the country. We have a range of free and confidential services, and we are based in most of the embassies, British embassies around the world. In this initiative, we are collaborating together with colleagues from Norway and Sweden. So we have online here Jacqueline. I think you already heard her a bit.
Yeah, hi, sitting in Stockholm, in Sweden.
Yeah. And then also Anne from Norway.
Yes. Morning, everyone. Yes, I'm based in Oslo.
Yeah. So if you have any questions later on, please be in touch with us. And in the next hour, Linda McGee, DBT's Life Sciences Specialist, will give you an overview of the UK landscape and how healthy aging is included in the National Health Strategy. And after Linda, we'll hear the strengths of Scotland in healthy aging, then in Northeast and in Manchester. And at the end, we'll share more information about the upcoming UK mission for Nordic and Baltic companies working in this sector and aiming to grow in the UK. So without further ado, let's give floor to Linda. Thank you.
Good morning, Mari. I hope everyone can hear me. And it's a pleasure to join you all today with my colleagues from DBT in the Baltics, and also my colleagues from the Northeast, from Manchester and from Scotland. So I haven't got a very short time to give you an overview. These slides will be available afterwards and in the recording. So I'll start now. I'm just going to try and share my screen. Can you see that screen? Yes?
Yes,
Can everyone
Linda.
see the screen? Thank you. Yes. Okay, so in addition to Mari's introduction, this is to emphasise that the UK is a home to world-class healthcare and life sciences ecosystem, and we particularly recognise the challenges and opportunities of an ageing population, and we are certainly harnessing our ecosystem towards solutions, as are many of our global partners. And in DBT, we are supporting both investment and trade opportunities across the healthy aging pathway. And you just see there some pictures about our opportunities brochure, but also to what we call high potential opportunities. You're going to hear more about them from my colleagues, one in the Northeast, one around Manchester, and also we have another high potential opportunity, for example, in precision medicine up in Scotland. So, as an overview, in the UK, we have a government committed to ensuring that people can enjoy long, healthy, and hopefully independent lives, helping them to give more quality of life as we get older. We have a UK life science strategy, and that identifies healthy aging as one of our 4 advanced research areas. Our NHS long-term plan is developed specifically to help older people be supported. And we're also very keen to share our expertise with our overseas partners and also to learn from other countries and to get the best innovations to support our population from overseas. So very quickly now, an overview of the National Health Service. In fact, we have 4 sister NHSs across the UK. So the largest in terms of population is NHS England. We've got NHS Scotland, and you might hear more from Joanne as following me. We've got NHS Wales, and then we've got NHS Northern Ireland, which is Health and Social Care, HSC. And they have many similarities, but all operate slightly differently, although ultimately with the same aim to benefit patients and give the best quality of care. And it's also worth noting that the NHS across these 4 organisations represents about 80% of the UK healthcare market. So it is the predominant healthcare market, although there are opportunities in private care as well. This is a very simple overview, and this is particularly focused on England. So Parliament provides funds delivered through taxes to the Department of Health and Social Care. We have underneath that our commissioners. They can be both national and local, and they organise and purchase care. And of course, this is regulated by our regulators and guidance in terms of what products and what services are delivered to our patients. And we have national services, for example, blood and transport of organs, for example. And then we have all our providers. We have an independent sector, as noted, so they can act purely in paid for work for individuals, but also they can be contracted to our National Health Service. And we have our public sector, both the NHS and local government, who are responsible for social care. And then there's a lot of work done by social enterprises and charities who also support patients and citizens. Our gateway to the NHS are our general practitioners, and that is for everything other than emergency services. Now, all those provider groups come together in integrated care systems at local level, and in England there are 42 of those. So just something to highlight, because I think it's particularly relevant to an ageing population, is the creation of virtual wards. And this is very much about delivering care at home rather than in hospital. I think in all advanced healthcare systems, we all want to see people being cared for wherever possible in the home setting or the community setting. So these virtual wards are effectively hospitals at home. And in each of these 42 ICSs I mentioned, it'd be equivalent of a sort of 500 bed hospital. That's the target. And there's use of things like remote monitoring, apps, technology platforms, wearables, and so forth. And the initial priorities for these are acute respiratory infections, frail, elderly people, for example, and then other pathways coming on later in time. This may look quite complicated, but it's just to give you a quick glance at a very extensive health innovation ecosystem with a number of support organisations, both in terms of funding, in terms of support for clinical evaluation, and then through to adoption into the NHS. And I just highlight, particularly relevant to our European audience, that now UK companies and organisations can work in Horizon Europe. So we have opportunities to work together with the funding for the remaining part of the current Horizon Europe programme. And then market access, selling into the NHS, a little bit different from medicines and medtech. I won't go through it all, but effectively the MHRA is our sovereign regulator, but we recognise the CE mark, and that's going to hold till 2028 or 2030, depending on the regulatory status of the CE mark you might have. And then there's the National Institute of Health Research to support with studies. NICE is the the organisation that evaluates, if you like, value for money for the NHS. Excuse me. And then we have various routes for med tech to sell to the NHS. And it's worth noting that all of these products and services, or all products and services that you might have to offer, can potentially benefit from registering with the NHS Innovation Service. It's England, but also includes our colleagues from Scotland and Wales. So that's it from me. And I will stop sharing my screen. That was a huge whirlwind, and we can cover maybe some things in questions, but I think now I'm passing on to Joanne Boyle, and Joanne is from the Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre in Scotland. Over to you, Joanne.
Good morning. Just one moment, I'll call my slides up. Now, I'm presenting on just one slide, so hopefully you can, one screen, so hopefully you can see that screen okay. If someone could just give me the thumbs up, that would be really helpful. Thank you. Okay, I'm assuming that it's working. Good morning. Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Joanne Boyle. I'm Head of Engagement in the Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre for Scotland. We have now been in existence for 10 years, and essentially we bring together academic, business and civic sectors together to look at business innovation, service innovation and technical innovation. And as you can imagine, over 10 years, I think we've learned quite a few lessons along the way. One of which is bringing together people is a very powerful tool in order to create that collaborative innovation that we seek to address Scotland's challenges, particularly around healthy ageing, rather than necessarily working in isolation. So we always advocate that we are greater than the sum of our parts by bringing together our partners. The Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre is one of 7 innovation centres in Scotland. We are the only innovation centre for health and care, but we work very closely with innovation centres looking at data, looking at sensors and looking at precision medicine, and often including our innovation centre for construction. As you can see, our Healthy Ageing Innovation Cluster is hosted on behalf of a number of partners whose logos are at the bottom of the slide. And we work regularly with them to bring together updates from their organisations and other organisations. But the way that we do that is really focusing on the 8 grand challenges which have been identified globally as issues across the world around ageing. Now, this is Ageing 2.0 version, but the World Health Organization also recognises these areas. And in particular, over the last 3 years when we've been running the Healthy Ageing Innovation Cluster, we have focused on the areas of brain health and also looking at caregiving. Now, the reason for those are obviously the ageing population that we have. It continues to increase across the world. But with that increase also means that people are living longer, but with more multiple conditions, including dementia. And what we're beginning to look at is how we actually help support that early intervention and prevention. To the left-hand side of the screen, I have a small picture there, which actually is a screenshot of our website. And really what we try to do is to encourage people to join our Healthy Ageing Innovation Cluster. It's free to join. And we have over 1,050 members within that innovation cluster currently from academic, business and civic partners and sectors. So within the cluster, what we're looking to do is really to identify potential opportunities where we can bring people together and identify suitable sources of funding that perhaps support addressing those challenges. And it's really about using the insights and intelligence that exists within the academic, business and civic sectors and bringing them together and making sure that we have that collaboration to be able to go forward and identify potential sources of funding, as I say, to then address those challenges and bring together that expertise and skills that exist within that innovation cluster. So the reason I have this slide up is just to make you aware that Scotland is one of 5 countries looking at brain health, has been tasked by Davos Dementia, to look at brain health, because there's a recognition that this is an increasing area of importance. And within Scotland, we have a strategy that addresses brain health, and with that strategy is Scottish Government funding that helps us support and look at the area of brain health and what we can do to intervene at a much earlier stage and create that preventative approach. So we have been working very closely with Brain Health Scotland, and on the screen you'll see an excerpt from a workshop that we held last year, a 2-day workshop looking at how we could bring together all of that expertise, insight and knowledge around brain health to address some of the areas that are being readily identified as problematic globally for this very specific area. And as I said, Scotland is one of 5 countries tasked with looking at that and feeds back into Davos Dementia. So as part of this particular workshop, what we did was produce a white paper, and we have also created a special interest group, again with the Scottish Dementia for Research Consortium. So the idea of the innovation cluster is very much to bring together all of those partners, but then to act as almost a gateway or a connector to then link in with other ecosystems. And indeed, UKRI, which is the UK Research and Innovation body within UK government, recognises that having that gateway into Scotland was invaluable for them when they were launching this particular challenge. So the reason that I've put this slide up is just to speak a little bit about this. As I said at the very beginning, the purpose of the cluster is very much to bring together that opportunity to address some challenges that are identified and then look at suitable sources of funding that then can address that challenge. And working with UKRI meant that we were able to identify and access this source of funding for our members. Indeed, 3 of our members were successful in gaining access to this funding. And what we then did was ask and invite them back to a later session where they were then able to share the lessons learned, what they wished they had known at the very beginning of when they were beginning to apply, and really to gain that insider intelligence to be able to share that with other businesses who were maybe at a slightly earlier stage, so that they could learn from the companies who'd been successful in getting that bid money, and again sharing within our member network. That was all recorded on our website. All of our sessions are recorded, so it becomes a bit of a virtual resource hub for people to be able to go back to and look at the sessions, the presentations and the slides, and gather all that information if they haven't actually been able to come along to the sessions that we run on a quarterly basis. So I'm conscious of time, but for the sake of brevity, what I would suggest is that if you haven't joined our Healthy Aging Innovation Cluster, then please do so. It's free to do so. And on that webpage, on the QR code, that will take you straight into our Healthy Aging Innovation Cluster webpage, where you will find details of all of our previous sessions, recordings of our previous sessions, slide decks from our previous sessions. Also, we have in articles of interest that we post there for people to go and view, and if there are any sources of funding that we become available or we're aware of, then we post them on the web page as well. In addition to that web page, there's also a link. Once you join our Healthy Aging Innovation Cluster, you're then able to access a specially dedicated LinkedIn group for healthy aging. And the reason that we created this Healthy Aging Innovation Cluster LinkedIn page is that we're not able to share details of our members under GDPR rules. But what it does create is a platform where we are encouraging our members to be proactive, to share information between each other, to identify if they are looking for a partner that they actually want to work with. And that worked incredibly well during the Design for Aging Challenge, where people were able to post information about the service that they were providing, but perhaps areas that they were looking for information or for partners. And that enabled them to identify partners that they could then link up with and work with to submit the bid. And that was incredibly successful. As I say, 3 Scottish companies were able to access that source of funding. So I think that's me just before time. So I will stop sharing and happy to take any questions.
Okay,
if there's no questions, then I'm happy to take over and start to present on the northeast of England. I'll just bring up my slides. So my name is Michelle Duggan. I'm Inward Investment Manager for the North East of England. I'm going to give you a very quick overview, an introduction to the North East of England and our healthy ageing assets. But I'm also going to be joined by my colleague Sarah Nolan from the National Innovation Centre for Ageing, who's going to delve a little bit more deeply into the assets that they have there and how they work with companies. So the North East has a strong track record in healthy ageing, and it's recognised as a centre for innovation and expertise, and a location that companies can come and test their products, develop products, work with companies, and there's a well-established cluster there. One of our key assets is the National Innovation Centre for Ageing, and this entity can actually help you get products to market much more quickly, and can do that in a way that engages actively with end users. And as I say, Sarah will talk about that in a little bit more detail. But we like to think of our the northeast of England as a location where you can actually take advantage of the growing market that there is to test, develop, design, and bring products to market. Just a little note about where we are. We're in the northeast of England on the eastern seaboard. We're a very well connected region with excellent national transport links, but also international transport links with 2 international airports. We've got 3 deep sea ports for exporting, and as well as those links that are listed there by air, we also have direct flights to Oslo and Bergen. In terms of key features of the Northeast, I mentioned that we have a long track record in delivering solutions for healthy ageing and longevity. This means that we have quite a well-established cluster of expertise. So that ranges from academic expertise to healthcare provision expertise, and into companies and organisations and networks. As a region, we're highly cost competitive. So in terms of location costs, the Northeast is actually very cost competitive within the UK, but also compared to other parts of Europe. So we have fairly low industrial premises costs, but also salary costs are very competitive, and we have very good staff retention rates. And so those attrition rates that you might see in other areas, particularly within the UK, like London and the South East, don't really apply here. We do have access to highly skilled workforce and talent pipeline. So we have about 7,000 people working within life sciences sector, but actually a further 116,000 working in manufacturing, with over 70,000 of those roles being in advanced manufacturing. So we're very much a kind of a making, innovating region. We do also have the highest proportion of students studying STEM subjects in the UK. So more than 50% of students in the Northeast are in science and technology, and 22,000 of those are in life sciences subjects. And we have very good graduate retention, particularly in health and life science related subjects. We have a vibrant cluster of innovative SMEs operating alongside, larger scale firms and large OEMs, and we have a network of assets. So we like to think of Newcastle as the hub for ageing intelligence, and that brings together that sort of multidisciplinary approach. But we have other assets and facilities around the region that people can tap into. So here's just a very sort of quick summary of some of the areas where we've got good innovation capability that companies are actively involved in. So diagnostics and prevention, companies can gain insight into innovation in ageing and work with our Diagnostics Northeast network. The Centre for Process Innovation, CPI, has a wide range of expertise, particularly in medtech technology and photonics, and they also lead on the high value manufacturing centre, and they can help develop, test, commercialise medtech products. We've got a wide range of access to remote care management solutions, so you can work with Health Innovation Northeast and Cumbria to test and demonstrate products. And we also have expertise around biopharmaceuticals and advanced therapies. The location also provides real living opportunities. So we have innovation in housing. So there's an active set of developments that companies can engage in and look at how you can bring innovations into the home, into people's lives before the onset of some of the medical interventions are required. In terms of how we would structure a programme for a visit, I think we're looking at potentially having a visit in February. So a visit to the Northeast would certainly include an overview of some of our key physical assets. So Net Park, which is a large science park where CPI are based, and Newcastle Helix, which is home to the National Innovation Centre for Ageing, but also the National Innovation Centre for Data. It's a new urban quarter within the city of Newcastle, and it has a very much a multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral approach. So the university is based there. There are active academics working in that space, but there are also companies and students and citizens actively involved in that site. We also have Newcastle's Biomedical Research Centre, and it's the only biomedical research centre dedicated to ageing in the UK. We have a wide range of digital assets. The National Innovation Centre for Data can help look at solutions capturing data from large data sources and multiple data sources to look at innovations in things like health inequalities, how to reach hard to access parts of the market. We also have immersive technologies facilities at Proto and clinical data access and innovation around looking at management and big data issues. Newcastle is one of the best places to conduct clinical trials, and a visit would include certainly engagement with the Newcastle Joint Research Office at Newcastle University and the Newcastle hospitals. I've mentioned diagnostics already, but we would include engagement with the National Institute for Health and Care Research and the In Vitro Diagnostics Cooperative. And then a visit to CPI's health tech and pharma expertise and facilities. There's a wide range of facilities there. The High Value Manufacturing Catapult, a visit to the mRNA Academy and the RNA Centre of Excellence, and also the National Horizons Centre, which is a national facility located just outside of the region, which provides healthcare skills solutions to companies and supports the healthcare ecosystem in the region. And then, of course, business networking, we would really actively encourage companies to engage with the cluster and to find out more about what it's like to operate here, and also to potentially collaborate with those companies. We do provide quite a bit of support for companies that are looking to locate in the region, or if they're looking to just collaborate, we can introduce them to key organisations. So we provide grants and support, help them access finance as appropriate. We have incubators and accelerators, and there is a tailored soft landing package to help companies really embed themselves in the region. I've included 3 case studies here. I'm not going to go into them in any great detail because for lack of time, but there's 3 case studies there. Happy to provide more information or answer any questions as people may see. So that's it from me, but what I'd like to do now is to hand over to my colleague Sarah, who will go into some detail about the National Innovation Centre for Ageing.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm just going to share my screen so people can bear with me for a second. Okay, can people see that okay? Can I get a thumbs up if you can see it? Okay, I'm not hearing not, so I'll continue. So yeah, I'm Sarah Nolan. I work at the UK's National Innovation Centre for Ageing. We're a national agency, but we were awarded by government to the North East because, as Michelle touched on, there's a growing cluster here of businesses and innovation partners in healthy ageing, and also because Newcastle University is a global leader in healthy ageing research. And our purpose is to support businesses to access the longevity market.
You've gone on mute there, Sarah.
Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit with the slides. Can I ask when I went on to mute?
About when you just started.
Literally when I started.
I think I heard about a couple of sentences.
Apologies for that. I'm just going to see if I can keep my slides moving. Okay, what's happening is when I'm trying to move my slides on, for some reason it's putting me onto mute. I'm not sure why. Okay, if you can bear with me for a moment, I might need to have my slides so that they're not on presenter view, because when I'm trying to move through the slides, it's muting me. So if you bear with me again for a moment, I apologise.
No worries, Sarah. We can also share your slides afterwards if you just speak through them.
Brilliant, thank you. So I was just saying that I'm from the UK's National Innovation Centre for Ageing, that was awarded to the northeast of England because of the northeast growing cluster in terms of healthy ageing businesses and innovation partners, and also because of the global research excellence of Newcastle University. Our purpose is to support businesses to access the longevity market. 60% of spending power is locked in our over 60s, but we know that it's a market that's really massively underserved. And we work with businesses on products and services that are of benefit to us as we age, that improve our healthy longevity. So if I show here some of the businesses that we work with, we're completely cross-sector. We're not just about med tech or about products for older people. We also support anything that helps people in their through life health, so that we can get to older age better and have a better time in older age. We also have a sister organisation called Voice, and this is an international community that we use to work with business, and they provide insights in terms of their wants, their unmet needs, their frustrations and their aspirations, helping to de-risk innovation for businesses. The outlook that we have here at the National Innovation Centre for Ageing is global. We know that currently there's over 1 billion people worldwide who are over 60, and that this is going to double to 2 billion in the next couple of decades. Ageing demographics are a global phenomenon and will require a global approach. So our Voice community is set up across the world and continues to grow. We've got a community of over 6,000 people in the UK, but larger internationally. We're headquartered in Newcastle here in the UK, but also with community down in London. We've also got Voice set up in Canada, in Australia and Italy, and we're about to launch in America and in Singapore as well. Our approach here is an approach that we call ageing intelligence. And what we mean here is that there is intelligence all around us, from human genius in terms of innovators, from businesses and from research. But we also take intelligence from data. We've got so much data. So we analyse that, and then we bring in the citizen as well, putting the human at the centre of our work. And that helps us to understand the data, to take a deep dive into what's going on, what's the stories behind it, and to help us understand the kind of trends and the big picture that we see coming through. So we work with businesses on their products and services for healthy longevity, but what does that look like in practice? I have a couple of case studies here. And the first one is a company called Synthesis, who developed a lung catheter which helps people with late stage cancer to spend their precious final moments at home rather than in hospital. And they came to the National Innovation Centre for Ageing, and we ran a programme with them to look at, we used our insight suite that we have here at the Catalyst, a kind of market research facility, to see how end users use and respond to the product, and also to capture in-depth feedback from the users through interviews. And that process validated the product that's Synthesis had developed, but also led to some valuable design changes before it went out onto the market. A different approach here, we worked with a company called On Hand, which is a volunteering platform bringing together volunteers and people requiring support. And they're a fantastic organisation based down in Brighton. And they were thinking about moving to London. And we said, come on, actually, we think you should be based here in the Northeast. There's a fantastic opportunity. So our work with On Hand really accelerated a change in their business model towards corporate social responsibility and using employees as volunteers, giving employees the opportunity to spend time volunteering. We helped them to find funding, we linked them with businesses, and we also used voice so that they could understand a bit more on the support side in terms of what people wanted from the volunteering service. So there are a couple of our examples. The model that we have here at NICA is generally commercial, but we do also have a couple of programs where government funding, public funding comes in to provide subsidised or free support to business. And the first of these is specific to companies that do have an office here in the northeast of England. And it's a programme looking at smart technologies, Internet of Things, and how they can support us as we age. And we call it the Internet of Caring Things. And this isn't just about home monitoring and things that care for us. It's also about what we care about. So thinking about what can increase social connection, bring us joy, make our lives easier and better as we age. This is offering support with partners, including CPI, to get companies along the innovation pathway for their products. And it's been funded for North of Tyne businesses. And then the programme that I've been leading, which is the UK-China programme, where we're working with businesses through an accelerator to help them to access the huge opportunity of the longevity economy in China. So we had a 9-week accelerator with the likes, bringing in expertise from the likes of the China-Britain Business Council, Linda and the team at the Department for Business and Trade, Park, businesses that had been there, done that before, to help businesses learn what's required to work in China. So very much global in terms of the way that we work with businesses and the businesses that we work with, but also very much grounded here in the Northeast as part of the innovation cluster. So apologies, it didn't go too smoothly at the start, but if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand or... Okay, it seems like not, but we can then continue with Andrea from Midas.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Manchester. So I'm going to give you a little snapshot of the region, what we have to offer. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get my slides. I think what is nice about this webinar is that we've all taken slightly a different approach into how we've worked through our. Sorry, my slides have gone to the end. I might have to actually do exactly what Sarah did as well, because it seems to keep flipping to the end. So if you can cope, I will do what Sarah did. There we go. Okay, so I've taken the approach of looking at what would attract you to come to Manchester. What you've seen from Edinburgh and also from Scotland and also from Newcastle is their ecosystems. And what I would like to also emphasise is that as a country, as UK, we work very much together. But if I start from the approach that we have in Manchester, which is about taking on board the whole region and how we approach aging, healthy aging, and living well for longer without disease, as long as we possibly can. This was recognised in 2020 by the World Health Organization, and we were classed as the first age-friendly city as part of their age-friendly world. What I'm going to do in the short time that we've got today is cover what I call magnetism, which is the attractiveness of a place in terms of business, living, development. And I call this magnetism. I'm going to touch on the talent that we have within Greater Manchester. And this includes the universities, this includes people, this includes housing and connectivity. Then the sense of identity, how much we've taken ageing and healthy ageing to heart. The fact that we are constantly growing and renewing. I think, I can't remember who it was, somebody says that you class the growth of a city by the number of cranes that you see in operation. Well, if you come to Manchester today, city centre, you'll see many, many cranes, and then it develops differently throughout the whole region. Then a place of new ideas and innovation, connectivity physically and digitally and ecosystem wise, one for strong leadership and how we are investing and working with you. So I'll start with talent. And this is talent in terms of people, talent in terms of how we operate and how we connect. So let's start by saying within Greater Manchester, we are almost a country. So we have 2.8 million. This slide is slightly out of date. We're now over 3 million population in Greater Manchester. And if you look at Northern Ireland, who have 1.9 million, this gives you an idea of the size and scope that we have in Manchester. These are our people. And what you also get within Greater Manchester is access to talented students. So we have 5 universities, and every year the intake of students to those universities is 115,000. But then also we've got connection around the region and outside. A lot of the people within Greater Manchester who work live outside the region. So we're really well connected internationally. We got access to £7.8 million. I'm obsessed with money. 7.8 million people within a 1-hour commute of Greater Manchester. And then the airport, as you know, is connected really, really well internationally. So what I would like you to take away from Greater Manchester is that we are here, we have talented people, and we aim to work closely with organisations who are wanting to locate to Manchester to help you embed and access that talent. The next is about our sense of identity. And if I said that we've been looking at healthy ageing for a long time, I hope that this slide demonstrates it. Sorry, it's not flashy, but it just shows you how we've been working since 2016. Our mayoral campaign and our approach to healthy ageing has been from a whole regional point of view. So we've taken healthy ageing and living well out of the laboratories, out of the universities and into the communities. And we understand that as digital businesses and digital entrepreneurs, or as pharmaceutical businesses, you're wanting to deal with the NHS. But what is also important is that you're surrounded by an engaged community. And if you've got a digital product, for example, that is about working at home, that you're supported by the leaders in the region to get that product out and into the system. So if I'll not read these out to you because we're going to share the slides, but if you look at what we've done over the years, it started with a positive, which is about getting people into work. And then throughout our times, we've looked at things like housing, we've looked at creating a sense of a pride, aging with pride within our lesbian, LGBTQ plus sector or generation. Then we've looked at the region as a whole. So we started by classifying 32 areas as being age friendly, and that increased in 2020 to 53. So we're a growing inclusive region for the healthy ageing population and for studying and working and supplying goods. On the next point, which is about constantly moving and constantly growing, we're working now on North Manchester General Hospital to create a unique healthy ageing cluster, which is built around a hospital. And this is about improving the health and well-being for local people, but also being a place where innovators and businesses can bring their products and be within a microcosm of a city or a region in one small place. So the hospital is developing itself as a healthy aging cluster. We're surrounding that with a wellbeing hub. We've also already got in place business and lab space so that we can have innovators in as the cluster is growing, and we're going to look at absolutely every aspect of living in real time, whether that is housing, medication, digital health, getting people out of hospital quicker and having them well or better for longer in homes. The next is about well, it's really about the fact that healthcare and life science runs throughout the whole of Manchester. And within our health, we've set up a Greater Manchester Aging Hub, which was one of our developments on the slide earlier, as we want to be the place where you grow up and get on and grow old. And that's the message from our mayor. And so consequently, we work together as a region. So it starts at the top with a combined authority and it goes all the way through with voluntary sector, hospitals. We've got some key UK national assets. So we've got the UK Biobank, which is about tissue samples. We've got one connected healthcare record in the whole of GM, which was the first integrated care record. We've got hospitals that include Christie's, specialisation in geriatrics, and then general health as well. But also we're attracting large businesses in the tested diagnostics area. So we've got QIAGEN, for example, Your Gene Health, Apis Assay and Hologic, all of whom are working within the diagnostics field. Within the universities, we've got specialisations in healthy ageing and also in brain and neurology and studying the brain. The next point that I want to touch on is strong leadership, because without strong leadership, it's difficult to move forward as a region. And I think the UK would recognise that Andy Burnham, as a former health secretary for the Shadow Health Secretary for the UK, is a very, very strong leader in the healthy ageing agenda. And certainly, as he moves forward with his tenure, healthy ageing is at the top of his list and has been since he started in 2016. I've put some links in the slides into the story so far so that you can look a little bit more in how this fits with our leadership. But I just wanted to point out that we have embraced healthy ageing to our core. The next slide is about connectivity. This is about, first of all, digital connectivity. So at the heart of everything, we are a digitally connected region. And within healthy ageing and within ageing and within healthcare, we have a one connected health record, which means that if you have to gather any data quickly, or if you want to do any digital or any clinical research, we have access to all our patients within the region, and it just speeds up the time and improves the efficiency of doing this work. The next thing I want to point out is that we've got 5 universities in the region. And our main heart, our artery, if you like, it runs through the centre of Manchester City, and it's called the Oxford Road Corridor. Along this corridor, we have 2 universities, University of Manchester and Manchester Met. And all along that same corridor, we have one of our main hospital trusts, but within the region, we've got 9 hospital trusts. So within one area, you've got access to universities, hospitals, and then business centres. We've developed specialised lab space and digital space for entrepreneurs or businesses wanting to land in the UK, and particularly in Manchester, to develop their products with direct access into R&D through the universities, R&D through the hospitals, but also development of products and selling products into the NHS. We were the first to have a devolved health budget for life science and social care in Greater Manchester, and consequently, because we've got the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, we also have one of the ICSs that Linda mentioned. We have one that covers the whole of Greater Manchester. Therefore, it's a combined approach to care and healthcare and life sciences. We also have one of the UK's leading clinical research networks. In fact, we were outlined recently in a report by Lord O'Shaughnessy as being the quickest to market and the most effective at completing trials, getting to market sometimes as quickly in over 80% of cases quicker than anybody else in the UK, and 96% completion on time and to budget. The next connection is regarding transport. We have a connected transport system which helps as a further attractor for people who are aging to come into the region, because it means that they can be connected locally, whether it's bus, tram. I don't know whether any of our aging population use scooters, but I'm sure they do, and cycling. And then finally, Health Innovation Manchester that I wanted to point out, which is a combination of innovation for the NHS, accelerators, and we've grouped together in Health and Innovation Manchester a number of organisations who will help businesses like yours and innovators like you to access the NHS, whether you're an early startup and wanting to develop your product, linking into the universities and to the hospital trust, or you're an established business and you need to understand how you can access the NHS, which can sometimes be quite challenging. So Health Innovation Manchester are there to help work with everybody. And then finally, it's about investment. I'm not going to go through this slide, but Midas here is the connection for that investment support. So whether it's you're wanting to arrive in Manchester, Greater Manchester, and you need help in looking at how you could fit within the ecosystem, what office space could be right for you, which organisations you need to connect with. If you're an early stage, do you need to be part of the KPMG Emerging Giants programme? Do you need to be part of an incubator or an accelerator? We will work with you in a confidential way to help you to do that research to understand whether Greater Manchester is the place for you. And the next stage of our investment support is that in helping you get going. So we have organisations here like Innovate UK Edge. We also have programmes with KPMG called Acceleris. We have accelerators, we have incubators, and our role would be key to finding the right connections. Funding in terms of private investment, whether you want grant funding. It's important to understand exactly what it is that you need, and then we'll start to prepare you for going live in the UK, whether that's looking for staffing, or just, well, helping your staff to land here as well, so understanding where they need to live and what's important to them. And then once you land in Manchester, we don't abandon you, we look after you. So we keep in touch with you, we ensure that your profile is high, we ensure that you're still connected, and that the objectives that we set with you during the scoping or the mobilisation phase are still relevant. And if they're no longer relevant, let's look at new objectives. So we stay with you and hold your hand. I'm so sorry that was a whistle-stop tour, but I was conscious of time and I have another meeting at 9 o'clock. We put our contact details on there. My colleague Nikesh is on the call as well. So both our contact details are on there. I'm the Head of Business Development for Life Sciences and Healthcare, and Nikesh works very closely with me. We are happy to answer any questions now or at a later date. I actually saw Guhad ask a question. We're already working with Guhad to help him find a place in Greater Manchester. So that is a whistle-stop tour of Greater Manchester. I don't think I've done it full justice, but at least I've given you a snapshot.
Okay, thanks very much, Andrea. And yeah, hi everybody. So I guess as there seems to be a few more people on the call than there were at the very beginning of the webinar. So just to recap, Jacqueline is my name. I'm the DBT investment lead for life science here in Sweden, in Stockholm, and together with Anna from Norway and Mari from Finland, we, the Nordic embassies for the UK, have sort of set up this program, stage 1 with the webinar and stage 2 with the business mission into the UK. So thank you so much for all the speakers today. I think there's been, a lot of information, and we will share the slides with everybody. We've had a short but hopefully also fairly intense intro into the UK healthy ageing ecosystem, and in particular into 3 regions that really specialise in this area. Scotland, the northeast around Newcastle, and also Manchester there at the end. I think, the takeaway from today is supposed to really be that there is a huge market opportunity for Swedish innovators, Norwegian innovators, anywhere, basically Nordic Baltic companies, to come and do business in the UK. And really, I think, you know, the companies working in this sector all know the reason why they're there, and that is because you can make such a huge impact to many, many, many millions of people's lives as they are aging, and we're all interested in adding as many healthy life years to our own lives and to those around us. And I think we can all agree that that's sort of the goal we're all pushing towards here. So we've got loads of amazing innovators, and we've got an ecosystem sitting in the UK that really wants you to come and engage. And that is really what the next phase of this program is about, which is the business mission into the UK. It will be happening the week starting the 12th of February. It is going to be a 3-day program. We will be flying into Scotland and being in Scotland on the 13th, Tuesday the 13th. Then we'll be heading towards Newcastle and that area on the 14th, and then finally down to Manchester for Thursday the 15th. And companies will be free to fly in before or after and extend that trip as long as you want to. But they're the days that we've set out. And the program, we've got it fairly detailed. We're going to put a little bit more detail in, and that will all be up on the Event Cloud website that we've created. The link is in this chat. And via that website, you will also find the link the blue link where you can go and register your interest for joining this mission. And we will be having like a rolling enrollment for it. The final date, I think, that we'll accept enrollment would be, or registration would be around the middle of January, 15th of January. But if you already know that you're really keen to join, then you can fill out that registration, and we will endeavour to review it and get back to you as quickly as we can for those that want to plan ahead of time. So, you know, the whole point of this trip will be to visit a number of these amazing sort of facilities that you've heard about today, and to understand for your company how you would best do business in the UK, and to help you to achieve those goals. Yeah, I think that's it from me. There hasn't been a huge amount of time for questions. I think we've got a couple of minutes if anyone would like to ask one, or you can get in contact with Anna, Mari, or myself. Our contact details are also on the website there under the contact tab. And yeah, we'll look forward to hearing from you. Nitesh is there.
No, I just want to say thank you, everyone. It wasn't a question. It was thank you all, and see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.